David Allan Coe is gone. The outlaw, the misfit, the guy who always did things his own way, passed away on April 29, 2026 at the age of 86. And if you're a fan of country music, you know what a complicated, wild ride his life really was. He was born in Akron, Ohio, in 1939, and honestly, his early years sound like something out of a country song. Reform school at 9, prison time for grand theft auto, and a long stretch of run-ins with the law. Coe loved to mythologize his own life, spinning tales of death row and prison violence. Some of it was true, some of it, well, let's just say he knew how to sell a story. But it's what happened after all that trouble that made him famous. In 1967, fresh out of prison, he rolled into Nashville, literally living in a hearse, camped out in front of the Ryman Auditorium just to get noticed. Talk about outlaw spirit. Before long, Coe was writing songs that would define country music for decades. He wrote, "Take this job and shove it." Johnny Paycheck turned that into a working man's anthem. He gave Tanya Tucker, "Would You Lay With Me," in a Field of Stone, another #1 hit, and he was the first to record Tennessee Whiskey, a song that'd go on to become a modern classic. As a performer, Coe was unforgettable. His version of "You Never Even Called Me By My Name," that's the one with the perfect country and western song punchline, still gets crowds singing along. The Ride, that haunting ballad about meeting the ghost of Hank Williams, remains a fan favorite. And Long-Haired Redneck? That's outlaw country distilled into 3 minutes and change. But Coe was never just about the music. He made headlines and enemies with his X-rated albums, songs so controversial they're still debated today. He claimed it was parody, inspired by Shel Silverstein, but for many, it put a permanent stain on his legacy. Yet, in the same breath, he was the first country artist with an all-female band, played shows in prisons, and took stances for the underdog, even penning an anti-homophobia song. He never tried to fit in. He wore a Lone Ranger mask, drove a hearse, and collaborated with heavy metal bands and Kid Rock. His life was a mess of contradictions, trouble with the law, bankruptcy and IRS woes, but also deep, undeniable influence. David Allan Coe leaves behind a catalog of music that's raw, honest, and unforgettable. He ruffled feathers, broke rules, and, whether you loved him or hated him, you can't deny, he was the real deal. Rest easy, David. The ride's over, but the songs roll on.